So I've made this video and divided it into 2 different tasks. This is to help you revise for your National 5 written exam. So the first task is going to be based around the mandatory question. That is the question that you will be writing about Matisse and Picasso. So in the mandatory question, you are going to be asked to write about 3 different prompts. That will be one from this top prompt box, one from this middle box, and then one from the last box. This shows how the marks are rewarded for this question. So we've got part A and part B. So 8 marks for the prompts and 2 marks for your justified reasons, and then 5 marks for writing about the social and cultural impact of your artist. So a total of 15 marks. This document has been saved to your Teams page. You can either work on it digitally or have it printed off and handwrite on it. This is for your Matisse and Picasso. You will only be asked to write about one of the things in the blue section. And then you will be asked to write about only one of the visual elements. So it could be colour, shape and form, line, texture, tone, or pattern. In the next section, you will be asked to write about either scale, style, subject matter imagery, or mood and atmosphere. And then lastly, you will be asked to write about the social and cultural aspects of only one of your artists. So you either choose to write about Matisse or Picasso. I have put 4 boxes here to allow you enough space to write at least 2 examples of social and cultural. There are some ideas listed on the page there for you to work on too. Remember, when you're filling out these boxes, you need to give a balanced response and write about both Matisse and Picasso in each box. Now we're going to do task 2 and look at the optional questions. This is when you get an opportunity to look at the different images given to you by the SQA and choose an image that you are going to write about. This is the prompt guide that is also on your Teams page. This has all the prompts with different things that you may choose to write about when it comes to answering your optional question. It's important to familiarise yourself with the type of art terminology that is needed to answer and respond effectively to these questions. This document here will help you to do this. Or you can pause this video at any point and reread anything that I am going over. So this is the front of a National 5 question paper. You are only answering the expressive art studies question. Ignore the design studies question. You will be answering a total of 2 questions. So section 1, expressive art studies, and it's worth 25 marks. Attempt question 1, that's the Matisse and Picasso question, and one other question is your optional questions. I'm now going to show you what those will look like. Here is an example of a section 1 Matisse and Picasso question. Identify 2 artworks by different artists that you have studied. These should be based on similar subject matter and or the same theme. So you've got your 3 prompts there, your 2 mark part of the question to give 2 justified reasons, and then your part B, which is worth 5 marks. So let's now have a look at what the optional questions could look like. So attempt 1 question from question 2, 3, 4, 5 or 6. You're only answering one of these. You must read your selected question and the notes on the illustration carefully. So for example, there'll be a picture. So here we have this image here, and underneath it will tell you the title of the painting, the name of the artist, and what the artist used to create the piece, and sometimes the size of the artwork itself. Underneath is your question and then your prompts. It's really important to write the number of the question that you're answering in your response. This is because you're allowed to choose the question that you're answering. Remember that the examiner doesn't know you and doesn't know what you are answering unless you write the question number. So this is question number 3 in this paper. Again, exactly the same format with the image and the information underneath and then the question. It's important to look at all of the images in this section before you decide which one you're going to write about. So task 2 is going to help you with the optional question revision. So here are all the prompts that you could possibly be asked in any one of those questions. You will be given a maximum of 3 prompts per question, just like we've practiced in school. Again, I've uploaded this digitally to your Teams. What I would like you to do is to use these cards to either write down prompts or art terminology or insert images that will help you if one of these prompts is in your optional question. You could be asked about any 3 of these prompts in a single question. For each prompt, you need to write a minimum of 2 things and a maximum of 3. I decided to use images because I like to learn visually, and by having these images in my head, it would allow me to be able to answer a question around composition and arrangement. So looking at a painting, if it asked me to write about composition and arrangement, I would be asking myself, does it have a triangular composition, or does the artist apply the rule of thirds, having something interesting in each of the interchanging sections of the rule of thirds? Or has the artist used leading lines to bring your eye into a focal point, for example? So once you've saved this document to your OneDrive, feel free to delete my examples and insert your own ones that will aid your own learning. You may want to add in pictures like I have done, or you may want to draw in your own images, or you may want to just simply write words or keywords or sentences. Looking at past papers, most of the optional questions only ask you to write about one of the visual elements. So the chances of a question having 2 visual elements that you are asked to respond to in the one question is very slim. Usually that only happens in a sculpture type question, which I wouldn't imagine many people would be opting for. So here I've done an example of colour. In the next section, these ones are on scale, style, subject matter, imagery, mood and atmosphere, and visual impact. I did the one based on style. I decided to use imagery and some words that would help. Remember that you can go back to the prompts sheet that is also on your Teams page, which will help you with scale, subject matter, imagery, etc. If you're unsure about what any of these mean, that sheet will help you. Ask your teacher to print off these sheets. You can then cut them out and use them as revision cards. Lastly but not least, good luck.